Tony Khan in Impact Wrestling, because for the third week in a row, Tony Khan, along with Tony Schiavone, appeared on Impact Wrestling on AXS TV last night. Now, AEW President, CEO, and General Manager Tony Khan and AEW lead announcer Tony Schiavone appeared on Impact Wrestling on AXS TV for the third straight week last night. Last night, in the Year in Review Part 1 edition of Impact Wrestling, it featured another paid-for by AEW advertisement by Khan and Schiavone. Schiavone introduced his boss as the only pro wrestling owner that's not a carny, another pot shot at Impact Wrestling there. Now, in this promo, in this paid advertisement, Khan wished a Merry Christmas to Impact fans and mentioned that they were in Nashville, where he's a partner of Activist Artist Management, which represents big stars and musicians in Nashville, and is a part owner of the Virgin Hotel in Nashville as well. Khan then brought up the Impact Hard to Kill pay-per-view main event for January 16, featuring AEW World Champion Kenny Omega and Impact World Tag Team Champions The Good Brothers versus Impact World Champion Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Gun. Khan also invited Impact to send any of their wrestlers to this week's AEW Dynamite on TNT tonight. This is what Tony Khan had to say, quote, "I just heard that Impact Wrestling is hard to kill, and I've heard that Impact Wrestling is looking to feature AEW World Champion Kenny Omega in a six-man tag on pay-per-view called Hard to Kill. Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion, wrestling on someone else's pay-per-view. I certainly have the power to stop that, Tony. I could file an injunction. There's a lot of things I could do. If I didn't want that match to happen, it wouldn't be happening. You know what, Impact Wrestling? You want Kenny Omega here wrestling your people, that's fine with me. Tomorrow night, Wednesday Night Dynamite, you're welcome to send some of your people to my show this week and any week." Schiavone then plugged tomorrow's Holidays Bash edition of Dynamite on TNT, which will air tonight sometime after the NBA games. He ran down the card, which includes the main event of the Acclaimed and AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, with the titles on the line. And then Khan finished with this, saying, quote, "And I understand you have some tag teams here yourselves, Impact Wrestling. I might have a look around and see what they're up to, see what their contractual status is. You know what, Tony? For a company that's hard to kill, $7 billion buys a lot of ammunition. So, Impact Wrestling, let me tell you something. Kenny Omega, you're welcome to have him at Hard to Kill. I'll tune in and check it out. And I expect to see the AEW World Champion with his hand raised high." Both Tonys then ended the promo with a Merry Christmas. Now, I must say, because there is so much to break down here. There is so much to break down once again from the third paid for by AEW advertisement on Impact Wrestling last night. First of all, like with all of these advertisements, I loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was the best one yet. I loved Tony Schiavone's shot at Don Callis, calling him the only pro wrestling, he called Tony Khan the only pro wrestling owner that's not a carny. That is a direct shot at Don Callis. And as I mentioned, we did a video talking about the Tony Schiavone storylines and storyline shots he's taken at Impact Wrestling, especially the ones he did on AEW Dynamite last week. I know some people said, oh, why are you making a video about storyline shots? Well, we follow storylines all the time here on the channel. We talk about storylines all the time. And I find Tony Schiavone absolutely hilarious. And I know a lot of people on the channel do as well. A lot of people in the comments were saying they thought Tony Schiavone's comments about Impact Wrestling were hilarious, and his pot shots at Don Callis were hilarious. So as long as you guys like it, and I still think it's hilarious, we're going to keep doing those kind of videos. So I really enjoyed that. It was interesting to hear Tony Khan say that he represents a lot of stars as part of his management company. To be honest, genuinely had never heard of him. He mentioned some stars. He mentioned the Lumineers, which vaguely ring a bell. I think they had one big song. Was it that Hey Ho song? I don't know. I mean, you can let me know in the comment section if that's your thing. Not that that means anything, that I haven't heard of those people. I mean, I'm more of a AC/DC, Metallica, Oasis guy myself, so those acts, maybe they're good, I don't know. But I thought it was funny that Tony Khan's like, oh, we represent a lot of big stars, and then rattled off people I'd never heard of. Not that, again, that means anything. But I think it's interesting that Tony Khan said, I've heard Impact Wrestling is hard to kill. Now, you could look into that a variety of ways as well. You could say, well, is Tony Khan trying to kill Impact Wrestling? Is Tony Khan trying to end Impact Wrestling? As I've mentioned before, I've noticed when it comes to these paid for by AEW advertisements, the first week was very, oh, look, it's Tony Khan, he's cutting a promo, and it's AEW President Tony Khan and AEW announcer Tony Schiavone, and we're on an Impact Wrestling show. Can you believe it? There's a novelty. That was fun. And then the one previously, last week, I felt was a bit more of a real promo. There was much more pot shots. It was much more real. It was much more personal. And they had a bit of grit and a bit of anger and certainly some passive aggressiveness from Tony Khan. And then this week, I felt it was even bigger than that. They're saying that Impact Wrestling is hard to kill. I don't know if that's, obviously it's a reference to the pay-per-view, but I don't know if it was a reference to all the different owners that Impact Wrestling has had and nearly going out of business 10 million times, whether it's Dixie Carter, Billy Corgan, Jeff Jarrett, Anthem now, all that kind of stuff. Or you could look at it as, is Tony Khan trying to kill Impact Wrestling with AEW? Is he looking at Impact Wrestling and saying, look, if I wanted to, I could buy you tomorrow and I could make it disappear like that? Once again, he reminds us in this promo that Tony Khan has the power to stop all of this. And again, that is so important. That is why I think the thing that really speaks to me the most during all of this is because he has the power to stop it. He has the power to stop any of this. And it's really important because it's logic. As I mentioned before, if you're a promoter, if this were real life, and again, I know people roll their eyes when you say anything about pro wrestling, if this was real life, but it's important to say. But if this was real life, if you're a promoter, if you're Tony Khan, why would you allow your champion, Kenny Omega, to compete for a rival promotion in a main event on their pay-per-view? You wouldn't do that. If this is real life, you're not going to have Roman Reigns appear on AEW Dynamite and then Vince McMahon not doing anything about it. He'd be in breach of contract, he'd file an injunction, he would make sure it doesn't happen. So in storyline, Tony Khan has to remind everyone, look, this is only happening because of me. Because in reality, in real life, it would only be able to happen if Tony Khan said yes. So again, I think that's so important because it's logic. He's not contractually allowed to be an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view. He's not contractually allowed to be appearing on Impact Wrestling TV shows. He's not. But because of Tony Khan, again, a bit of passive aggressiveness, saying, you got to remember that I'm the one that's allowing this to happen. There's a lot of logic there. And Tony Khan is reminding the audience that all of this is only happening because he's allowing it to happen. And also, it's a shot in storyline at Don Callis to say, you try and imply like you're playing this grand game of chess. You call yourself the invisible hand and you're 2 steps ahead of everyone. But in reality, Tony Khan is saying to Don Callis through these paid advertisements, look, I'm the one who's really in control here. You can say all of these things. You can do all of these things. You can try and screw me over. You can try and screw AEW over. You can try to steal the AEW World Championship, my world champion. You can have Kenny Omega appear on an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view. But remember, I'm the guy that's allowing it to happen. I'm the guy with the money, and I'm the guy that can do these paid advertisements whenever I want, and I can have a rebuttal, and I can stop things whenever I want. I'm truly the one that's in control here. I'm the one who's playing chess, not the invisible hand. I'll allow Kenny Omega to wrestle at Hard to Kill. Oh, and by the way, if I want to, whenever I want to, I can own this company like I own other things in Nashville whenever I want, which means I would own you and your contract too. That's what these paid ads for in the storyline are. These are methods to get a response or to get shots at Don Callis. Because reality, AEW, you think about it, forget that it's a paid advertisement, all that kind of stuff. AEW, when they run down the card for Dynamite on Wednesday, the following night, they don't need the promotion. They're going to do a better number than Impact Wrestling on TNT. Of course they are. They don't need to advertise on AXS TV. Oh, reminder, watch AEW Dynamite on Wednesday on TNT. They don't need that. People are going to watch it anyway. They don't need a plug on Impact. They do just fine on Wednesday nights on TNT. These segments, these promos, these vignettes with Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone, they're all about progressing the storyline, the back and forth between Tony Khan and Don Callis, and ultimately progressing the eventual AEW versus Impact storyline as a whole. You have to remember, he says it again, if I didn't want the match to happen, it wouldn't be happening. And also, the most significant thing I think that came out of it, yes, I love the logic of him explaining how Kenny Omega continues to be able to appear on Impact Wrestling, but I think the most significant thing out of this Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone promo this week was this quote, "You're welcome to send some of your people to my show this week, any week." That is hugely significant because that is the opening for the real crossover. Yes, we've seen Kenny Omega going from AEW to Impact Wrestling, but now we potentially have the door open for the Impact to AEW crossover. That is the opening for Impact Wrestling stars to begin appearing on AEW Dynamite. Now, most likely, of course, that's going to be the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Kyle Anderson. Once again, of course, as we know with the Hard to Kill main event where they're teaming with Kenny Omega, they're once again associated with Kenny Omega and Don Callis, a bit of a New Japan reunion, a Bullet Club reunion. I think they've referred to themselves on a couple of occasions as Super Elite, so they might be going as that name. I mentioned before I didn't think they could use the Bullet Club name, so I was surprised they've dropped it that much. Obviously, they've dropped it a couple of times because they can do that, but as far as advertising the Bullet Club versus Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns, I didn't think they were going to do that. So they likely could come together as a faction to Dynamite in the future as backup for Don Callis and Kenny Omega, because we know that Callis and Omega are going to be on Dynamite tonight. Whether or not the Good Brothers are, I don't know. Now, I know obviously tonight's episode of Dynamite has already been taped. I don't know if both episodes of the Holiday Bash or the Christmas Bash, whatever they're calling it, have been taped. I think the first night has. I don't know about the second. I don't know. I haven't looked. I don't read them. We don't do spoilers here on this channel. We don't reveal spoilers on the channel. I don't know about you, but I try to go into shows knowing as little as possible so I can be shocked, excited, and entertained by the show. Obviously, you know that potentially going into shows, that, things could happen, and you hear the scuttlebutt, you hear the rumours on social media and such what, but I do my very best, I don't know about you, by going into shows, not reading the spoilers, trying to, if there are openly results and spoilers of match results, I don't tend to look at them in the same way that, people look at the betting odds, and people will say, well, that's not true, but sometimes the betting odds can be very, very close to reality. I remember WrestleMania 32, me and a few friends of mine, we did the whole betting on wrestling, right? We're such marks, we bet on wrestling at WrestleMania 32. And about an hour or so, or a couple of hours before the show, it might have been more than that, maybe 3-4 hours before the show, suddenly Zack Ryder became the favourite to win the Money in the Bank or the Intercontinental Championship ladder match, which seemed bizarre because everyone at the time, Zack Ryder was a jobber. What's Zack Ryder doing? He's not going to win the Intercontinental title ladder match. It was ridiculous. But he was the favourite, and we were so confused by this. Lo and behold, Zack Ryder won it. So I don't look at the odds for that reason because they can tell you the results sometimes, and I don't look at spoilers. So I don't know if the Good Brothers appeared on AEW, and if they're going to appear on AEW Dynamite tonight, we'll have to wait and see. But it does also open up the possibility of other names from Impact Wrestling coming over to AEW. You mentioned the likes of Rich Swann, Chris Bay, Sami Callihan, Deonna Purrazzo, The North. It's interesting we focused with The North there because also Tony Khan said this as well, quote, I understand you have some tag teams yourself in Impact Wrestling. I might have a look around and see what they're up to. Now, obviously, Impact Wrestling tag team division is very, very strong. You've got the Good Brothers, you've got The North, the Motor City Machine Guns, to name a few. All of them could come across, and I think any tag team that does come across will benefit. Look, AEW, absolutely, I think it's without question, has the best tag team division in the world right now. I mean, do we have to list off the tag teams? We'll do it anyway. The Young Bucks, FTR, Lucha Brothers, Santana and Ortiz, Blade and the Butcher, Best Friends, Top Flight, The Acclaimed, SCU, Dark Order. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. Their tag team division just is the best in the world. It just is. Nobody's tag team division can touch it, especially a company like WWE. It's nowhere near. Impact Wrestling's division is actually very, very strong, and I like their tag team division too. So when Tony Khan's talking about tag teams, I think he's probably talking about the Good Brothers, but I think also they'll likely come with Kenny Omega and Don Callis. So potentially he's talking about another tag team. Could be the North. It could be the North. Why could it be the North? Well, he did mention contractual status, Tony Khan, in that promo. Now, we know that Ethan Page's contract is expiring at the end of the year. Come January 1st, 2021, Ethan Page is a free agent, and he is rumoured to have had discussions with AEW, and there's a lot of rumours that he is going to sign with AEW. Potentially, they could turn this whole deal into a storyline whereby Tony Khan steals the North from Impact Wrestling. Now, we know, of course, that Josh Alexander's contract isn't expiring. He's under contract until 2022. But for the sake of this storyline and this crossover, who knows, right? Potentially, we could see a situation where Ethan Page and Josh Alexander go over to AEW, and then it's kind of another punch, a counter punch from Tony Khan to Don Callis to say, you want to try and steal my AEW World Championship, my AEW World Champion? How about I steal one of your top tag teams in the North? How about I steal the longest reigning Impact World Tag Team Champions in the company's history? That's a bit of a slap back to Don Callis and all those folks at Impact Wrestling that are maybe openly mocking the AEW president, the billionaire Mark, the billionaire fan that's naive and doesn't know what he's doing. Certainly would be a slap back. So again, in just the grand scheme of things, I thought it was another really, really good promo by Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone. To be honest, like I said, if you want to pair them up or you want to line them up against each other, the three promos, the three paid advertisements that Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone have done on Impact Wrestling so far, personally, I think they get better every single week. I really do. I've said before, Tony Khan is actually a really, really good talker. He's very, very good at promos. He's got a real natural gift and seems a very good natural talker for promos, and so far the only promos he's actually done, ironically, have been these paid advertisements for Impact Wrestling. We haven't seen him do any on Dynamite or anything like that, but he's actually really good at them. He's actually really solid. This is the third promo he's done, the third real promo. I think he's very good. I think he's a natural talker. That obviously comes from business and doing interviews for business. You don't become presidents and CEOs of a variety of companies. I mean, he's a billionaire. You don't get there without having a smooth tongue. Even if his family is silver tongue, you don't get that if his family's even if his family is billionaires. He's a very solid businessman anyway. So he's a very good and natural talker. I think every single week he seems more and more relaxed every time he does these vignettes. I felt this week maybe once again was probably his best promo that he's done. His body language was far, far more relaxed than it was previously. No more cross-armed, double bicep standing, shoving the biceps out like that. Nothing like that. He seemed much more relaxed. I thought it was a great promo. Obviously had the shots fired at Impact Wrestling. I think his personality came through much, much more than it had done previously. He reminded everyone that he's in control and he's the one actually allowing all of this to happen. He's the one that's allowing this crossover to happen. It's not being facilitated by Don Callis or Kenny Omega. It's actually Tony Khan. He's the real one in control here. So I thought his personality came through. He reminded everyone he's got a ton of money at his disposal, and if and when he wants to use it, he will. So I thought once again it was great. But arguably, as I mentioned, this is the promo that really had the most substance to it, I think. As I mentioned, allowing the Hard to Kill main event to happen, an invite for Impact Wrestling stars to come over to AEW, and also Tony Khan looking at tag teams. It's very, very interesting, and it certainly, I think, is the paid advertisement that's got the most substance to it, and it certainly is the one that I think is the best performance and is the next step of progressing this AEW and Impact Wrestling crossover. Tony Khan certainly, as we mentioned before, planting some seeds here that could potentially blossom and bloom in the future. So certainly very, very interesting. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on AEW President Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone appearing on Impact Wrestling for the third week in a row in a paid for by AEW advertisement? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So get involved with the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button. It really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.